All right, we are live. Hey, everybody, happy Friday. Today is June 27th, and you're hanging out with my community manager, the community built by, for, and managed by community managers. As always, you can chat along with us on Twitter at hashtag CMGR Hangout, where some of you are already watching. And if you love what you're seeing today or have a great idea for a topic and want to join us live, just go over to mycmgr.com and click on participate, and you can submit your topic there. Today we're joined by Sprout Social, actually, Sarah and Britt. So I'll let them actually introduce the topic today, but we'll be talking about basically everyone's advice on managing the always-on nature of social media, balancing work and life, and handling the pressures of working in a highly visible role. So Britt and Sarah, I'll let you guys take over that and have everyone introduce themselves.
Cool. I'm Britt Thompson. I'm the social marketing manager here at Sprout Social, and we're excited to be here today to chat about habits and what makes everyone's job a little bit easier and how they handle things. So I guess Sarah, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Sure. Hi, guys. I'm Sarah Nagel. I'm sorry, I just got married. It's hard to get my new last name in my mind. But I do social marketing here with Britt at Sprout Social, and I'm very excited to chat with you guys today. You've seen me on here before, and I usually moderate the Twitter side, so I'm excited to be jumping on video today. Do we want to start with Andrew then? We'll go through and everyone can give an intro of themselves.
Yep.
Sure. You guys hear me all right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hey, Andrew Coate. I'm Community and Content Manager at Kapost, Boulder, Colorado. Getting a little bit of sunshine here today. And I moderate a bunch of communities. One of our largest focuses a lot on LinkedIn, so I've spent a lot of time focusing on that. But pleasure to be here. There's a lot of great names on this call, so I'm really excited.
Great. Daryl, do you want to go next?
Yeah, hi, I'm Daryl Lacorda. I am a social media manager at Gossip Genie, and I'm just so excited that it's Friday right now. It's just unbelievable.
Sweet. David?
Yeah, David Dewald, community manager at thunderhead.com. Been doing it for a long time.
Good stuff. Erica? Oh, you need to unmute yourself.
Yep, I got it.
Okay. Cool.
Hi, guys. I'm Erica. I'm the Community Engagement Manager here at Twilio. Been here for about 9 months, and prior to that, I was at TaskRabbit.
Cool. Mary? Oh, you need to unmute yourself, too.
Yep.
There
Sorry. My name is Mary Mallard. I am the Community Manager over here at Grasshopper, the Entrepreneur's Phone System. I am really into customer reach out and just making sure that we can keep our audience on, Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus engaged as much as possible.
Great, and I'm sorry, Maria, I think I skipped you.
Not a problem. Hey, I'm glad to meet everybody. I'm Maria Lena Duran. I'm speaker and trainer with Buzz to Bucks, and most known as the creator and moderator of Brand Chat. We are one of the top Twitter chats in branding, all about branding. We've been around for a little over 5 years, and I love to speak about anything on developing relationships and community around your brand.
Great. Well, thank you all for being here, and I'll pass it over to Britt now to get started with the questions.
Awesome. So our first question is, what 3 things would you tell a new community manager to help them better manage their time and tasks? Anyone want to kick it off?
Yeah, I can actually jump in on that one right away here. We were talking about this earlier this week, my team and I think one of my biggest pieces of advice is learning to break your day into different chunks and focus on different activities throughout the day. I think as we'll probably talk about more, always overwhelming. So for me, I have a pretty good routine or pretty strict schedule that I kind of stick to break up different notifications that are my way or responses I have to do. So that's a piece of advice that was given to me, and I'm giving it to all of you out there on the internets.
Anyone else? Don't be shy.
Hi guys,
Yeah, I'll
it's
go.
Erica.
Oh, Erica, and I'll give you the floor, and I'll actually go next then.
Thanks so much. So I would say one of the best ways to start your day is to figure out, there's actually an HBR Harvard Business Review post about this, article about this last week, but it suggested that you ask yourself the question of, when I leave the office today, what do I want to have accomplished? And so setting us to hop onto the last point, setting aside time, actually closing your email window for a while to think, allow yourself time to think, but also making sure that there's a part of your day, if you are the type of person that needs to break it into chunks, that there are at least 2 chunks a day where you are solely focused on your community and nothing else, whether and whatever appropriate channels that happens with, but making sure you take the time to be focused on each element, and also know what you're going to accomplish when you leave for the day. So that's 2, not 3, but that's what I would say.
Yeah, no, my answers are kind of different. Well, I wrote down using a great RSS reader, because I know that for myself, that taking the time to trying to find time to read can just be all over the place. So having an RSS reader for myself, having it all in one place, and just kind of seeing what I want to read definitely helps out. That I think is a great tool to use to help manage time and the tasks as well. Another thing that I wrote out was take a power nap if you need to. I know that people are more productive when you're well rested, or even a little bit rested. Emotions can go all over the place if you're upset or just really tired. So if you have to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to just find a couch, sleep on the floor, just do whatever just to recharge, do so. I highly recommend it. And the last thing that I think many people should take advantage of our calendars and notifications. I mean, I know that we all lead very busy lives, and for myself, it's been a lifesaver, because we all are littered with tasks of not only just work life but personal things as well. And man, I can't even tell you how many times that notifications have just saved my life. Oh, I'm supposed to go to a birthday party. Oh, okay, cool, awesome. So those are my 3 things for any community manager to help manage their time and tasks better.
Gotta remember to turn my microphone back on. I know personally for me, one of my favorite things is to, at the beginning of the week, make a list of everything that you want to get accomplished that week. And make sure that you prioritize it. And I also wrote down blocking out times in your calendar to actually get things done. So, if you have a really important project that you have to get done, block out a time in your calendar, mark it busy, tell your coworkers or whoever it is that you're with, the rest of the team, that, hey, listen, I have this project that I have to get done, and I need this hour or I need this hour and a half where I need to go heads down and work on something. And I also find that you can't be afraid to ask for help or advice from other people. Like, we're a community, we network. Don't be afraid to reach out to other community managers. Twitter is your friend, networking events are your friend, because chances are that whatever you're going through, there is someone out there that's gone through it before, and you can kind of take notes and, get a little bit of advice from them. So, mentors and help is everywhere.
Yeah, and I'll just follow up and say absolutely schedule time for yourself during the day. I have 1 hour in the day that I call lunch, and it's blocked out on my calendar, with the caveat that people can bump it if they absolutely need to. But it is blocked out on my calendar, so nobody can invite me into anything else unless they specifically ask me. And then twice a week I have separate hours where I just have time blocked out as being unavailable on top of my normal lunch hour. And that seems to help me, gives me time to sit down and look at the week and see if I've gotten to where I wanted to be, if I'm behind on anything, if I'm ahead of the game, and what I can refocus on. But definitely set time aside for yourself that is, showing everybody else that you're busy right now. Even if you're doing nothing, just show it as being busy, and that'll give you some buffer.
Yeah, I'll dovetail on what everybody else has been saying too, is that you do need to schedule time for yourself. And that's really important because I think you need the nurture time, and not just like what Daryl was saying with the RSS feed, but also for you to feed yourself as a community manager, stay up to date on when things are happening. So schedule those appointments with you, and they're just as important an appointment as with anybody else. And then also to just realize too that the nature of what we do, that I hear a lot of people that you've got two sides of the fence saying all business is personal, all business is not personal. I don't think it's cut and dry that way. I do believe that it's personal for the people on the other side who are becoming members of the community, and for us it needs to be, we need to recognize that it's personal for them, but it's not necessarily personal to us. And I think sometimes keeping that division will help you in nurturing and keeping yourself refreshed as a new community manager.
Awesome. That was all good stuff. So I know a lot of you guys said that blocking out time on your calendar was really important, and kind of given how social and community can be 24/7, other than blocking out time on your calendar, how do you kind of make sure that you're taking time for yourself and really making the effort to either better your kind of tools or skills or refresh when you need to?
I think it's different from day to day for me.
I think for me,
I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
Go for it, Dale.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. It's different from day to day for me. I know that I just noticed that within my week there are certain times where I find that there is a lot of downtime, not only from work, and so it's just really trying to find a certain time slot that works for you each day. And I've noticed that a little bit later after the work hours, maybe I want to say around 7 to 8 p.m. work for me as well. But sometimes it'll be just to catch up on social trends, or just really just painting, or just anything to kind of just get my mind off work, reading a book or going to the gym. But I try to make it a point that when I have that downtime, I make the most of it, and it should unplug myself from work and social altogether. And I think that's just one of the few things that I need to work on. But that's kind of what I do, is I just take that moment and just really make an effort to say, just really unplug from social and anything along with it.
Yeah, those are really great points that Daryl just made. I think for me, it's been a combination of a lot of what you just said. I love to run, and so that's my, no tech running. In Boulder we have a nice little creek path, and so I feel like I'm completely as far away from a computer as I can be. But also, I do have time scheduled each day in that calendar where it's some time of reading just for me. And I might be reading about social media or community management or something like that, but I'm not necessarily doing it for work. I'm doing it because I want to learn about something, or there's an article that, I use the app Pocket, and I'm always saving things as they come up, and then I spend some time just going through my, Pocket queue and reading these articles that, are fulfilling to me in some way. So that's still on my calendar, but it's my time. And the calendar actually says Coat doesn't exist during that time. So that's my kind of check out and not be working for a short period of time. But those are, I guess, my points.
I kind of love the time when my phone dies, just because I've been using it so much, because it's kind of a nice excuse that you don't have to check anything, answer anything. So it does kind of feel like I'm missing a limb when it does not work. But I feel like those times I'm like really paying attention to people, and I think it kind of does refresh you and makes you want to get back into, sending a tweet or posting a photo to Instagram. Definitely necessary in this industry.
I would say it's figuring out what kind of person you are and what downtime means to you. I am a complete extrovert, so the way that I recharge is actually getting out and traveling and talking to other people. I've also noticed, though, as I've matured and gotten a little bit wiser, that I do need some quiet time every now and then. I do need that lunch break that is blocked off for an hour and nobody can mess with. I get really recharged by traveling and visiting our community members. I was in New York last week for work, and that was I actually was surprised at how wonderful I felt after coming back from that trip. So I think it's about finding the things that work for you. I've also gotten, to the last point, much better about when I get home, my phone is off and I'm with my family. I'm much better about not compromising that time and making sure that I shut off when I get home.
And I'm with Erica. Really, I think that you did a great job in explaining that you really do need to know who you are. Introverts and extroverts all recharge differently. And some of us are charged by, just quality time. So sometimes it's time away, getting one-on-one with somebody that's important to you. And sometimes it's even words of affirmation. Sometimes some people just recharge by reading some of the positive stuff that's been said about them or that they've been involved with, to see some of their accomplishments. And sometimes it is just getting away. It's that time to get away and totally unplug. You really need to know yourself and be able to pinpoint what it is that nurtures you and recharges you. And then, just like you said, those things that are important to you, that are valuable to you, then those are the non-negotiables that you need to put boundaries around and have those set in place so that you can feel comfortable with your responses whenever somebody needs to or asks to infringe on those boundaries or those non-negotiables.
Yeah, I actually find that I recently started taking yoga classes, and I find that actually having a scheduled class once or twice a week, where, obviously I'm paying for it, so it makes it worth it to go. It's an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and a half where there's no phones allowed. You're in the room, you're, doing your yoga, you're not thinking about anything else, and once you get out, it's, you're refreshed and you're ready to take on whatever it is that you need to do. We also, here at Grasshopper, we have a rule where you have to take a lunch hour. You are not allowed to eat lunch at your desk, and if you are, your manager, whoever it is, will drag you away and make you come and sit in the lunchroom. And we have a pool table, and we watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, because that's still on. And it's a great time to talk about things that don't have anything to do with work. We'll, just talk about anything and everything, and we have great laughs, and we all get along really well. It's great to just kind of unplug for an hour, eat your lunch, have a good conversation, and then when you're ready to go back to your desk, you're like, okay, it's, I had my lunch hour, it's the afternoon now, I'm ready to go.
I want to say, going off of Erica's point about connecting with your community, I think what is also great is connecting with your peers, whether it just be talking shop or just kind of just reconnecting, just to shoot the breeze. I know last night that I reconnected with Sarah and Britt at a social media event, and it was awesome. I mean, it's just cool because you can kind of, again, anytime you can meet in real life, it just makes those interactions have more substance. We didn't necessarily we were at a social media event, but we didn't really talk about shop. It was just more so, oh, how was your day? What are you listening to? And so just stuff like that. So I mean, I that in itself just kind of recharged me, just to just connect with people that I've met via social, and having those interactions for me is a great way to just recharge. I'm gonna hit the mute button.
Awesome. All great tips. So I guess for our next question here would be, since I feel like creativity kind of comes from when you're away from your desk or you're outside and exploring, what's your favorite way to kind of get ideas flowing for your community or making sure that you're really kind of bringing your A game?
I'm one of those shower guys. That's where all my ideas come from, is when I'm standing in the shower. You know, it's either first thing in the morning or last thing at night, and I'm kind of processing either what my day will be or what happened during the day. That it seems like things seem to fall into the right place. So take a shower, man. That's what I say.
For me, it was the first 3 years that Brand Chat existed. I mean, I never went to a conference, didn't do anything in person, but like what Daryl was saying, and then decided to get out and go to a bunch of different conferences and actually meet branditos, which is the term of endearment that we use for people who brand chat. So meet branditos in real life. And importantly, at a conference, the creativity, I mean, there's lots of great ideas thrown around, but the creativity and the relationships are built in the hallway and hallway meetings. You have to schedule enough time for those and just make yourself available. And that has given me a limitless supply of great connections, good, solid, strong relationships with people I can call on, bounce ideas off of, and really some new ideas that we can tweak and incorporate within BrandChat.
One thing I've always been a fan of. So I'm an actor, and one of the few things that I always stand by is I always suggest people take an improv class at least once in their lifetime. Um, so I've done improv for a couple of years now, and I can't even tell you like how it's kept me on my toes, how to really allow you to creatively think on your feet. It helps to really be in the moment, and just even in situations where they're tweeting and you have to think of something like a response, whether it be witty, whether it be serious. Um, Take an improv class. I promise you it'll make you a better person, but it'll also get the creative juices flowing within the brain. Um, get back to me in 6 months, and I would love to hear how it works out for everybody.
I actually get a lot of ideas riding my bike on trails, to be honest. Either that or if I have to zone in at work, I just throw in some really good music.
I'm going to sound like
Maria,
the delinquent of the group here, but you know, I like beer, and that tends to help me out. Loosens up your creative juices a little bit. But we also spend some time at Kapost. Our content team gets together and does these whiteboard sessions where, regardless of what project you're working on, and oftentimes I'm working on something that they may not know a whole lot about, but they're all creative people, and getting them together in a room with a couple beers and a whiteboard, it just ends up being a fun time because you have a lot of creative energy that even during long weeks that we're all exhausted, we tend to find some good in those sessions. So I would say, have a group of people that you can go to and just bounce ideas off of, and just have those like creative experiences together and drink beer.
quick side note, Maria Elena, I was going to ask you, did you come up with the name Brandito, or was that something that just kind of naturally came from your community?
That naturally actually came from the community as well as our glossary. We decided to put a glossary of different words that have been used from, of course, similar ones you've heard like brand jacking, but then also brand archy is one that we've made up within the chat. And so all I've done is collected what everybody's created and added that to a glossary. And that's been pretty fun because everybody feels ownership in that development in our language at Brand Chat.
Very cool. Anyone else? Creative ideas? I feel like I can relate to most of you in that I find I get most of my ideas from walking home from work or after a really busy day when I'm just kind of supercharged about social and about digital marketing. I think just or taking your headphones out once in a while. I think that really helps too. Just kind of not having anything to distract you, but just taking in all the noises of your surroundings.
I also just like really quick. So I mean, I'm a big fan of like carrying around a small notebook. So like Moleskine, if you're watching, do it. Yeah, these are awesome. I do a lot of people watching, and sometimes just people in the interactions that they have with each other can kind of just really draw different ideas. I mean, that's just me. Your miles may vary, but sometimes it's kind of if you're taking a walk or you're riding a bike, just see what other people are doing, and you never know. The interactions that you might see might just spawn up an idea in your head, and you're like, oh, I could totally use that idea.
Anyone else? All right, we will move on to the next question. What's the first thing you do in the morning to really make sure that you're setting yourself up for success and you're being really proactive or productive?
So I have, a year ago, I realized that exercise is important on a lot of levels. And so I am now a morning person. I get up at 6 or 6:30 and I work out every day. And I think chiming into a lot of the other questions and topics that have been brought up, that is my time. Nobody messes with it. My husband's still asleep. It is just my quiet time in the morning, and I go to work out, and then I pick up his coffee on the way back. But it's, and as the summer days are longer, it's even nicer to be up that early in the morning in San Francisco. But that absolutely sets me on the right track for the day. And then to come back to my original point, going into the office and not checking email and those kind of busy things that create noise in your brain. The morning is such a good time to do real thinking, or at least just, whether it's Sunday night or Monday, get those, weekly goals straight, or it's the first time of the day for your daily goals, but getting those aligned are really important for me.
I'm kind of the same way. I have a very specific process in the morning of how I do things, and boy, it's funny how if you just get a little bit outside of that process, how your day could just feel wrong all day long. But yeah, I have, I know at this point in my day, I'm going to be doing this first thing in the morning. We have a dog, so the first thing I do is get outside and walk him, and that is just the most, easiest way to get into the day, other than having to carry around the remains of his work. But it's a nice way to start. It's quiet outside, nobody's there, and I can just kind of look forward to what's going to happen. And then I come in, I hit my desk, I've got some RSS feeds that I read, share what I think is interesting and important, and then I kind of dig into the real meat of the day. And it just, if I get a little out of track, it just feels funny. So I try to stay in my comfort zone.
Yeah, I am totally not a morning person, so usually I'm getting up at the last minute and rushing out the door as quickly as I can. So I kind of do my morning routine when I get to work. Usually the first thing I do when I sit down at my desk is I'll just survey the social landscape and make sure, the world's not falling down and nothing's burning up. Maybe reply to some, urgent tweets or urgent Facebook posts if we have them. And then I take 10 or 15 minutes and I make my breakfast, because I have to have breakfast every morning, and I make my coffee. And then once I have that, I chat a little bit with some other people that are in the kitchen. Then I'll sit down at my desk and I'm like, okay, now I can actually start my morning. I have my coffee, I have my food, I'm good. I can, go ahead and schedule things, or, really dig into what it is that I need to do for the day.
I'm somewhat similar. Oh,
Sorry.
go ahead.
All yours, Andrew.
All right. I'm somewhat similar in that, I do like to get up early, but I don't like to talk to people early, or at least not physically talk to people. So my morning routine is pretty strict. I get as close to inbox 0 as possible, which is more like inbox 273, which I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. And I have this routine of I'm going to check in on all our networks, I'm going to check my email, I'm going to make sure I know what I'm about to do for the day, all before I set foot in the office. So then when I come into our office, which is a very fast-paced startup, there's inevitably something grabbing my attention the minute I walk in, and I want to be prepared for that. So I do all of that, checking my email and everything like an hour, hour and a half before I even set foot in the office. And that has been the biggest change for me in productivity, because I feel like I'm able to really walk in and start doing some great work or some creative work or start writing or whatever I need to do when I'm in the office. I've already gotten the less fun stuff out of the way while I'm having my breakfast or drinking my coffee or yelling at people outside the street. I don't know. But yeah, so that's been my morning routine, is just getting as much done before I go into the office as possible, and I love it that way.
So I'm not a morning person either. The days that I'm on support for Sprout, that I'm responding to our customers, I like to just lay in bed and kind of scroll through my phone. We have a really great mobile app, so I use that to kind of get in touch with people and answer any questions that we've gotten overnight. And then when I get in the morning, I think it's a lot of like answering tweets from the night before. So I guess my nighttime is kind of my time to unwind and turn off social for the most part. And then that morning is the time when I'm getting back to everyone and responding and, checking emails, of course, and stuff. I don't really have a routine, I wouldn't say. Kind of just let the day take me where it does. And it's worked okay so far.
For me, I'm a night owl. I'm not a morning person. I'm a night owl, so I do all of my planning towards the end of the night. I'll sit down and actually write down a goal for the next day or some goals for the next day, break it down into 7 things that I think will make it inevitable, look at each of the communities, because I have a little over a dozen different communities I actually manage, so look at each community, what I'm hoping to accomplish in each, look at what's happening with the influencers in each of those communities or the advocates, and then really set a tone for what the morning will be like, because for me, because I'm a night owl, I'm the same way, Mary. I jump up in the morning. As long as I have a cup of coffee, I'm ready to do whatever I made a list of things to do the night before, but don't ask me to think about it in the morning. I'm just ready to execute in the morning.
Britt, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think I'm probably more like Erica. I have a couple days a week that I get up at 5:30 to work out, and I have my class, and that's really my 1 hour to completely not have any phones or tweets or email that I have to respond to. It's 100% just getting the day kind of going and started, and I come into the office way more refreshed and ready to go. So like that. I know Andrew checks email at home. Do the rest of you check that first thing, or do you wait till you get into the office and make sure your morning's really just yours?
I check my email like I don't even roll out of bed before I check my work email. How sad is that? But I think it's just being concerned that something has blown up overnight and having to react to it. Communities don't sleep, they don't take vacations, they certainly don't take Christmas off. So you do have to kind of peek in on it all the time.
Yeah, I totally check my email before I get out of bed, I'm not gonna lie.
I usually check my email like right before I get in the shower, just to make sure that we don't have any outages or there's nothing going crazy. But I'll just scroll through the subject lines because most of those are pretty self-explanatory. And then if there's nothing wrong, then I can take my time a little more. And if there's something wrong, then I know I need to rush a little bit and get to the office and kind of take care of everything.
Step 1 for me has been staying off email when I get home. Step 2, which I'm still trying to work towards, is not having my email or my phone as my alarm clock, so I do not check my email in bed, but I have not gotten there yet. So I just resist the urge to check my email as much as possible until I am out of my bedroom.
I have to admit, I actually do check email late at night after the family, everybody's to bed. I'll get up and check email late at night, use Boomerang to schedule the emails to go out in the morning so I don't look like I'm answering at 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I will lay in bed in the morning and check emails from my phone. And that just seems to appease my sense that things, as David said, have not blown up overnight.
I think what would help, I mean, I have a routine in the morning and I usually just drink coffee, stretch, read. I have music, which is nice, but I think the one thing that's often overlooked is what we do uh, the, the, the day or the night prior. I have a very bad habit of, you know, phone to face. I mean, how many times do you see you're in bed, and I do that a lot. I'm guilty, and that's something that I want to correct. But um, I think it's more so for what you do the night before. I mean, um, just getting rest. I'm just a big fan of rest because I'm telling you, no coffee, no rest, and makes for a really angry Daryl or unproductive Daryl. And um, it for me, it goes on what I do the night before.
I was going to say, you said take a nap during the day. Now you're saying get sleep. I mean,
Daryl
you're all
really
about
loves
the
to sleep.
siesta, man.
I love sleeping. I mean, I literally can sleep through storms. Um, that's a day. It's another story for another time.
That's okay. Yeah. The reason I'm divorced is because I fell asleep in the middle of an argument once. I didn't win that one either.
That's awesome. All right, we will move on to the next question. This kind of goes back to creating ideas, and so how do you use your community or your team to really collaborate and find new ideas rather than just kind of relying on yourself?
I think there's twofold up to that. I think one, you can ask. Certainly, it doesn't hurt to say, I'm thinking about doing something like this. What do you think? Or we have this issue. How can we solve it? And on the flip side, I also feel like um, it's 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 a good thing to set aside a small group of your community and say, you guys are going to be the ones that really help us move forward. And this is where you get your champions involved, whatever you call them, champions, gurus, whatever your name for them are. And you just kind of set them aside. You say, we're going to collaborate with you. You're going to help us make the changes. So if you see something out of whack or something that you think can be improved, please come to us and tell us. You'll also get, first stab at some of the new features before we bring them out. You'll get to have some say-so in maybe some of the processes that we develop within the community. So if you're a company that's moving to ideation and you want the greater community to help you solve problems with your product or to help improve your product, then you can start with that core group and say, all right, help us define this process. Help us figure out the best way to get the information from the users to us in a way that is, going to be well communicated to you. You understand that we're hearing what you say, and those kinds of things. So a collaborative environment, separate, that's a small group of people that you're tight with in your community, and also, asking the greater community. That I think is the two biggest and best ways to do it.
I'll echo that a little bit. We have a LinkedIn group called the Content Marketing Academy. Nice plug. That is a very interactive group. We get about 15 comments per discussion topic that has been raised, and so our content team, who is in charge of creating blog posts and other content that fits that community perfectly, they ask questions of the community, and from there, looking at the comments and looking at other things that people are bringing to light, it spawns, I don't know, probably at least a blog post a week at this point. It's become a great place for us to say, I wonder what I need to write about, or I wonder what other people in our audience think about this. Let's go ask the group. And so that's turned into a really great exercise for us, and in some ways has actually inspired bigger pieces of content, like infographics and different things like that, all of it based on just discussions that have happened in this one little area. But it's been a great, source of inspiration, and I'm frequently helping our content team look at these discussions and say, oh, actually, there was a thread about this earlier in the week. Maybe you should check that out and quote some of those people or respond to those people or something like that.
So in line with this question, as well as the one prior about number 3 about getting creative ideas, I think it's important to find those blogs, find those people, find those Twitter followers who align with your values and your goals and what you're trying to accomplish as a community manager. Conferences are great for getting inspired, but I definitely have 3 or 4 people that are in my network that I go to repeatedly to get ideas. And I've made, joining Twilio, I made the switch from a consumer community to a developer community, which has been a big growth and challenge for me in learning how developers think. I'm not at all a developer. And so that's been something that's been a learning process for me, and getting perspective from not only my internal team, so finding those people. We have a team of developer evangelists that I work with a lot and bounce ideas off of, so finding those people within your own organization that you can always go to with new ideas at any stage. But then if your organization is small and or you get the juices flowing by talking to people outside your org, having those immediate 3 to 4 people that you always know are good for ideas and also will challenge you back, and not just say, oh yeah, I think that's awesome, but really push you to dive deeper into something and explore it further. And then lastly, in terms of content online, I go back to kind of getting rid of the noise. I think that when you start off your life as a community manager, we are some of the most social and active people on the internet, and finding a way to kind of weed through things and making sure you know, of course there's time to go through the CMGR hashtag and see everything that's going on, but then getting that focus time of, okay, I'm going to read my 3 favorite blogs right now and I'm only going to kind of focus on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and for brand chat, actually, because it's a little bit different with a Twitter chat compared to the community, some of the other communities I work with, it has been really taking in and taking in other ideas. Understand that I created the hashtag brand chat and started it out, but I set the tone for the community, but I did not create the community. They have been involved in creating our LinkedIn group, our Facebook group. They are the ones who pitch different ideas about whether we should talk about case studies or specific questions. What is the cadence and the velocity of the chat, which it really is a high velocity chat. And then even to the point of Brandito caps. There are caps, one of our members is involved, has an embroidery business, and so he embroiders Brandito caps with the understanding that he doesn't sell those to anyone. Those can only be earned within the community. And so there's an exclusivity factor to that as well. And they've come with all the ideas. And I've really taken the stand of being a servant leader, in that I am happy to adjust and put resources into place, but I really need for them to come up with the ideas and to be able to act and try and then get feedback on ideas as well.
Yeah, I mean, from a content perspective, we all of our, well, 90% of our content we put out there to actually help our customers, because our community is generally entrepreneurs and small businesses. So we want to make sure that we're helping them grow their businesses, because if their business is closed, then we lose a customer. So I work really closely with our content team to say, okay, this is the theme that we're doing for this month. What kind of blog posts can we do? What can we do for contests? What can we do for giveaways? You know, these are the types of things that I'm focusing on this month. How can we tie in the blog to this month, or our LinkedIn group? So our content manager and I are kind of like best friends, and we're always in the conference room kind of talking about different ways that we can feature different customers, or just kind of keep our content always fresh but also relevant at the same time.
In my role here at Sprout, I do interact with a lot of community managers and social media managers, and I think you mentioned this, Erica, but I really do find that we're so willing to help each other, and we're so willing to collaborate and bounce ideas off of each other. We just started Sprout Chat, which is our very own Twitter chat, which I was kind of heading up, and I loved asking other people who ran other chats how they did it and how they kept like the conversation going and how to make it fun and lighthearted, and I really hope I'm doing that with our chat as well, to make it kind of a more interesting one, to where people aren't just like agreeing with each other and whatnot. And Maria Elena, I would love to pick your brain on that too later, by the way.
All right. Any other thoughts or comments?
Actually, I have a question to bring in from Twitter.
Go for it.
Bring it up here. So Katie wants to know, and this is kind of an in-depth question really for 13 minutes, but just to kind of touch on it, what is the difference between managing social platforms and managing a community? And I think I highlighted down in there, she's really curious kind of whether you guys work with only social networks or also like community platforms and forums, and just kind of your thoughts on that.
Go ahead, Erica. Nope, go ahead.
Okay. So I'll speak quickly to the two places that I've worked where we've had no forums, actually. At TaskRabbit, the main communication channel which we only formed in my last 4 months there, was a Facebook group, which I guess some would consider a forum. And then the other channel was really a newsletter. And at Twilio, and that was when we had a team of 3 at TaskRabbit managing our community. At Twilio, we have we have 200,000 developers and customers, and we have someone who does our social media, we have a content manager, and then Megan is senior manager of our team, and I really actually focus on strategic programs and partnerships. And we do not have a forum. Our Twitter is definitely, I would say Twitter, our blog, and any conversations that happen on Stack Overflow are actually the thing that help, the main places where we interact with our community. But we are looking into a forum, but most of our interactions, I would say one-to-one interactions are happening on Twitter.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. We do most of our customer interactions through Twitter and Facebook. We did try a couple forums. We tried Spiceworks, and we do have a LinkedIn group. Spiceworks wasn't particularly successful. Our LinkedIn group, I'm trying to get it going a little more, but it's a little slow going right now. I think it really depends on what your community is and where they actually reside, which will determine whether or not forums are appropriate for you or just social networks are appropriate for you. And I feel like that's a lot of trial and error. You kind of have to test things out, and that's a huge part of being a community manager is testing things out, finding what works, finding what doesn't work. Because it's going to be different in every position that you're in. It's going to be different for every community that you have. So it really depends on where your community actually is.
Oh, here we go. Where's my soapbox? You guys ready? So I am a forum-based community manager. I've been a forum-based community manager for 15 years. I absolutely positively hate the concept of community on social media channels because I don't feel like it's a safe place to build a community. Mainly because you have no control over the platform. You're at the whim of whatever they want to decide to do. So if Facebook decides to make a change, you can't make the reach that you used to reach. I think social media should be a channel to pull people back into your community, be that forum-based or not forum-based, within your own control, something that you own. I think the big difference is that social media, it's a lot of talking in a crowded room. It doesn't matter if it's Facebook or Twitter or whatever. It's you kind of putting stuff out there and hoping for reactions from people that may only be there for a minute. Whereas if you have a forum or a community in your own place, then they're coming to you specifically to talk to you. And that gives you a lot of advantages, better control over the data of what they're doing. You know that they're more invested because they've left the comfort and ease of Twitter and Facebook on their phone, and they've actually made a path to your door. But again, I'm kind of old school. I'm not all that social. I use social media. I believe it has its uses, but I just don't feel that as a true community platform, it's the best at all. Please, somebody counter-argue with me, because we've got 10 minutes to fill.
Okay, I will ask you this. When you are first starting your community out, like baseline startup level, and you have social media, how soon do you implement a forum?
Why did you start with social media? It's an advertising platform.
Totally.
So consider this. A long time ago, and this would be not so long, but there was no such thing as social media, and a lot of us built communities strictly on, word of mouth. We built a forum, and we, worked as much SEO magic as you could back in the day, and we reached out to other people that we knew were like us, and we did a lot of our social by going to other forums, because forums were where everything happened, and chat channels and those kinds of things. So social media, I think, it has its place, and if you're a small company and that's what you can do and it's easy for you, I think you should absolutely do it. I do believe in going where your customers are. I just don't believe in staying there. So, if my customers are on Facebook or if my customers are on Twitter, I'm going to say, hey, we're on Twitter too, but we got some really cool stuff over at our house. You should come over, play video games with us. We have great nachos. You should have some. So, it's all about, and there's a lot of reasons that I say this, and it's my mantra. It's, you have control over the data. You don't have to worry about some platform making a change that makes it harder for you to connect with your users, or makes it harder for you to communicate to them, or harder to find you. It's one of those things. I feel like Facebook is a lot of drive-by likes. I'll drive by your page, I'll like it, and then I'll never see your page again. And you have me for a second. But if I drive by and you reach out to me and say, hey, I'm glad you were here, we've got more cool stuff at our house, you have a better chance of them possibly coming around, because it's not just, I did this on my day and I'm kind of flipping through and Facebook and, oh, this is kind of neat, I'll like this, and I'll move on to the next page. Oh, my friend is playing a game, I should play too. There's less distractions. And yeah, I like to soapbox, I apologize. Did I kill the conversation? Tell me I didn't kill the conversation.
It's always like the eels. I don't know if you remember Ali talking about the eels. Like after you talk, if no one else replies, you're just like,
I either did really good or they're just so mad they can't talk.
I want to let someone else chime in.
We actually, with ours, started on Facebook, and we're actually building our own platform that will be launched probably in about 2 to 3 weeks. But we did start on Facebook to grow them, to make sure that there was a need there, and that there was traction there, because it was kind of a exploratory type of area.
I don't disagree with most of the things you're saying there. I think it's a great thing to keep in mind. Looking at our little side chat, a lot of us are evaluating building our own platforms, or building our own hubs anyway. I think for maybe a lot of the people that are out there listening, at least when I started and got the title community manager, it was starting at a company that didn't really know what that was yet, and didn't really know what community meant yet, didn't really have the detailed knowledge that you have now.
So many people even now don't know what a community manager is.
Well,
and
right.
It's one of those titles that 10 years ago it was webmaster. Everybody was a webmaster. They did a million different things in their job, but everybody was a webmaster. And I think that's where community manager is today, is that community manager in one company is a social media person. Community manager in another company is a marketing person. And the community manager in a third company actually manages forums. And I think it's a title that needs to be refined.
Well, and David, and a community manager sometimes for a small business is also the CEO, the owner, butcher, baker, and candlestick maker, and all of the above. So sometimes if I focus with small businesses, sometimes then the economic of a forum is just not viable for them. Social media is the best option, and that provides them as close to a forum opportunity as anything. And again, knowing that they're developing community, and that could change, that platform could change as that small business evolves. If it grows, if it merges, it can take that same community and go look and find another platform eventually that fits its model.
I will throw in here too, I know we talked about it briefly in the side chat there, but Jordan Reeves from TEDx is apparently a bit of a psychic here, because he actually already requested that we talk about community platforms, so we will be talking about this the entire hour on the 18th.
I'll be there. Count me in, girl.
You got it.
I love talking about platforms.
I know you do.
You know, and I'll say this, just to wrap up all my negativity about social, it does make sense to use. I'm not trying to say that it's the worst thing out there. If you're a small company and it works for you, absolutely do it, because you want to do things that help make you money. Just know that, you know, there's going to be some challenges. I mean, all the time we hear about Facebook making a change to their algorithms and your reach goes down, and it's because they want you to buy ads. And I totally get Facebook for doing that because it makes them money. But just understand the limitations and challenges of where you set your shop. You know, it's a phrase I say at least once a week. You know, you don't plant your garden in somebody else's yard because you never know when they're going to throw manure on it.
Yeah, no, fair point. And I think it was it you or was it Daryl who was talking about going to where people are and then bringing them back to where you are type of thing. Like that's definitely a huge use for social, because you have to find people where they are. You can't just expect them to show up at your doorstep without an invitation.
It was hard a long time ago without social media. You'd have to go look for people that offhandedly mentioned what you were building a community about and try and get them to come on over.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of times there was competition. You know, I mean, there still is today. I hate to make it sound like there's not, but I think it's maybe worse now for competition because it's so easy for somebody to set up a Facebook page. Old school days, you know, setting up a forum wasn't an easy thing. And setting up a website wasn't an easy thing. And now in 15 minutes, you can have a WordPress blog up, or less, if you use a hosted solution.
Yeah, no, totally, for sure. Sarah, Britt, did you guys have anything on your end to wrap up? Otherwise, I'll go ahead and wrap things up.
Nope, I think we're all good.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. It is now 3 o'clock. Next week, we are talking about community manager growing pains. I realize it is the 4th of July, but if you want to take a break before the craziness and come chat with us, should be a fun talk. We actually have quite a few people on from Europe next week, but we do still have room for other panelists. So thanks for joining us, and have a great Friday, everyone.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, bye.